Welcome, everybody. Thank you. So I'm wearing green. I work in hospice, but St. Patrick's, I gotta be a little Irish. The whole idea of the end of life or death, we've seen different colors, right? We wear black, and in some communities and cultures, it's white. In some other cultures, I have seen other colors, but it's usually a muted color of some sort, or a statement, a recognition of a passing. Now, what I wanted to talk about is just a billion things. So we'll start out with first. How did we used to die in 1910? First of all, we were dead by 50-52. So that takes a good half of us, we would have been gone. Heart disease, pneumonia, flu, tuberculosis, diarrhea. I mean, some of us have those issues, but it ain't killing us. Intracranial lesions, which is more like malformations and aneurysms. What do you think helped it? Sanitation, public health, nutrition, water quality, hygiene, washing your hands, woohoo. 2010, we lived till 77. Heart disease, malignant neoplasm, i.e. cancer. Chronic lower respiratory diseases, that's like, you've heard that term, COPD. It's obstructions, it's also phlegm. Asthma is also part of that. And then unfortunately, stroke accidents now made the top list. Reasons that these are lowered some: medical advances for hypertension, stroke, decreased baby nutrients because of what moms or pregnancies are taking to supplement, or some immediate vaccinations that happen right after they're born. Decreased smoking, or earlier cancer detection. In 2025, we're living a little bit longer. 79. Now, I know all of us have to know somebody over 80. When I was a kid, people didn't make it to 80, so it's pretty cool that they're just up walking around and doing what they need to be doing. Again, we're dying. Heart disease is still there. And now this is because of sedentary lifestyle, obesity, diabetes. Cancer now is even more specific to lung, pancreas, colorectal. We have accidents, which unfortunately is higher now. Unintentional injuries, drug overdoses, motor vehicle crashes, falls. That's why we get so nervous when you have rugs in your house to catch on your foot, interestingly enough. Chronic lower diseases, I told you about those already. We also have the stroke still. Now Alzheimer's made the list, unfortunately. Chronic liver disease, cirrhosis, not always related to drink, but sometimes fatty liver too, again back to diet. Kidney disease is now up there, and suicide. One of the things that comes to information here, ICU averages, guess $11,000 a day. Yep, 3 days in the hospital can easily be $30,000. ER, you'd already know this, an ER one night, $3,200. 41% of Americans have medical debt. We're dying from chronic diseases. Things are lasting longer. That's good, right? Because we can still have a good quality of life. Getting into hospice, so many people, it's interesting. So I'm part Mexican, I'm part Irish. The Mexican side of us so embrace hospice and are so fearful of dying. If we talk about it, that means it's going to happen, so we don't talk about it. Different cultures, different things. My thing is, talk about it. And so where we're at right now is hospice is what I want to talk to you, because it happens, it's here. In Denver, we have over 24 hospice businesses. When hospice started, it was all non-for-profit. Then they realized, maybe we can make some money here, and so now it's about 60% to 70% for-profit. Just if that's important to you, just know there's choices out there. The base HOSP for hospital, hospice, hospitality is guest, interestingly enough. In the 1100s, it was sick travelers. 1948, English Dane Cicely Saunders was a nurse, a social worker, and a physician. And she used all those talents to start treating and working with people who are terminally ill. In 1963, she came to Yale and started teaching here in the United States, went right back to London. She still lived there. 1967, London created St. Christopher's Hospice. It was the first modern hospice, and you might think of hospice as a business, yes, but it's not always a place. It's a consulting. It's a service, okay? The idea that that's how she established that hospice, but then they did end up building a building there too, just so you know. 1969, we have Elizabeth Kubler-Ross. How many of you guys have heard that name before? Yeah. 5 stages of grief: shock denial, anger, bargaining, depression. Just so you know, it's been increased to 7 stages now. We include testing our coping strategies, which is an interesting thing. So if you have someone who has just recently lost somebody and they're grieving, and this week it seems like they're this way, and then the next week they seem like they're that way, they're trying to figure out how to deal with things. And helping them by just being present is 90% of it. And the last one, acceptance. And if you don't already know it by now, it doesn't happen boom, 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 boom. It's all over the place. Some days, Saturday at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, you feel a tremendous sense of peace and acceptance. And then at other times, nothing. You've lost it all again, and you're saying, what if I would have done it this way? Could I have prevented it? Could I? That back to that bargaining, it's just all over the place. And when you get hit in the face with that shock, even though it's been 2 years since the person's gone, 2 minutes since the person's gone, it's amazing how it can be so fresh. So give yourself some space in there. Give your friends, your family some space. I have seen families truly pull apart because someone said something without thinking. And I'm like, this is a time where we're sometimes talking without filters. Because in America, I don't know if you've noticed this, we filter a lot or we don't filter at all. And so it's kind of like one or the other. And sometimes we don't know how to handle that raw emotion. And so I throw out that idea of remembering the Kubler-Ross, those different stages of helping people through that, again by being present, again by being accepting of them. And remember to be accepting of yourself as you go through these things. What was neat was that she definitely really pushed for encourage to die at home, okay? People were dying in hospitals. People still die in hospitals. But that whole idea, you don't have to. In 1974, the United States got their first hospice in Connecticut. And then 1978, we got an organization. 1982, 1982, the Medicare hospice benefit came on. In 1985, it became solid, all right, is permanent. And what that goes ahead and it tells in Medicare, if you're on Medicare, it's saying you can go ahead and choose not to go to the hospital. We'll pay these different hospice companies to do what they need to keep you at home. The one thing that I thought was interesting was in 1965 when Medicare was first made, right? They paid for everything. I don't know if you knew that, but I knew somebody got a nose job on Medicare. Well, in 1983, everything changed, fixed rate. You're only going to get paid this much for this disease, whether it's complicated or whether it's simple. And so 1983 was when we started watching money. What happened in 1985? Hospice became approved. It is one of those things. We're balancing resources. It's not all about money. It's what do you need at that time in your life. So I don't know if you remember from the last time, but to me we have 3 phases. We have where healthcare gets involved. We have the acute, you break your leg, you've got some contagious disease, it's right in there, you're going to get cured, you're going to get better. We've got palliative, again that word that nobody knows how to spell, but the other term is chronic or serious illness, and that's your diabetes, your lungs, your cancers, your different things that can happen. But you stay alive. It might shorten your life some, but you stay alive. And the idea is, how can we make that quality of life better in there? There's palliative care services. And over here, end of life, is the hospice service. Now, I have heard one too many times, the person has been in the hospital 3 times. The person is really having a hard time making it to the bathroom or bathing themselves. And they say, no, they don't need hospice yet. And I'm like, why? And they said, because they're not dying. Well, hospice says 6 months or less. In all reality, that's just an old phrase. It really is, would we be surprised if that person died in 6 months or a year? And when the answer is no, we're not surprised, then they can qualify for hospice services. Hospice services paid by Medicaid, Medicare, and also insurances. Unfortunately, for people younger than Medicare, 65, and not on Social Security, it can be very frustrating. And so what's nice is even the for-profits have charity. Another word would be for service. They go ahead and they'll pay for it. You just apply. Now, the hospice term, for sure, you decide on hospice, someone convinces you to go on hospice, whatever it might be, you're going to be introduced to 5 or 6 companies. I'm going to be honest, you've just heard you qualify for hospice. There's probably a few other things going in your mind. What do you think? Things you didn't get done, things you wondered where you stored things, or how am I going to pay for this, or where is so-and-so going to live when I die? All these different things. And now we're asking you to concentrate on picking a hospice. Do me a favor. Start looking around now. Start getting a feel. I guarantee you, the person that comes in and does the admission paperwork, which is 40 or more pages of you signing stuff that after a while you're just going, and they give you copies and you can read it later. And you know how many folders I see opened after that happens? Never. Maybe someone visiting aunt or visiting cousin or visiting neighbor might stroll through it. Did you know you signed this? Blah, blah, blah. And so sometimes there's needs for clarification, and that's fine. In hospice, we have a variety of people. We have a doctor. You don't normally see them in your home. They're the ones that contacted. Everything is physician-based in the federal government right now. And so the idea that the doctor is the executive director in that medical aspect. We have an RN, registered nurse. We have LPNs in some hospices. They used to joke about LPN means lower paid nurse, but it's really licensed practical nursing. CNA, certified nursing assistant, and if you don't know what a CNA is, they're the ones that do the hands-on care. They're the ones in nursing homes, cleaning the body, feeding, giving drinks, clothing, giving a bath, things like that. Chaplain or clergy, social worker, all those are paid to be part of that company. Now, just like anything, you're going to click with this person, you might not click with that one. And I tell people, don't change companies based on one nurse, one chaplain, one social worker, or one CNA. Just call the business and say, give me someone different. And I beg you to do that. You're dealing with a short time. And so many people want to be nice. Oh, I don't want to hurt her. I don't want her to lose her job. I don't want him to feel angry about it. It doesn't matter. Make sure the business works for you at this time. And again, to reinforce, it's counseling. They're coming in anywhere for 30 minutes, maybe up to 2 hours, but 30 minutes to an hour is how long they're in your home, 1 or 2 times a week. And that may even only happen 1 or 2 times a month for the chaplain or the social worker. Knowing what each of those people do is very helpful to understand. The nurse is the one working with the physical body, doing the medications. Now, if you have certain beliefs, certain things that are very strong to you, the nurse is definitely the one you want to convince that this is what I want, this is how we're going to do it. And the nurse, hopefully, and if not, you're going to change, will go ahead and incorporate that with what they're doing. There are people, for pain management, they want nothing because they want to be lucid towards the end of their life. I'll be honest, if you're in pain, you're not really lucid at the end of your life. So there is a balance at every step of the way. With the pain management, we also have the idea of nausea. And with people that are having cancer treatments, or have had cancer treatments, or the cancer themselves, nausea is more a concern than pain. So don't demean any symptoms that people might tell you. You have no idea how many times I have left somebody's home. I'm sorry, I'm a registered nurse. I worked in hospice for 30 years, just so I should say that. So how many times I've left a home and then I get a message later that day that Fred told me everything was okay. But Jenna called us to say, well, he kind of forgot to tell you this, and he forgot to tell you that. I tell families, speak up while I'm there. Let's problem solve together while we're here. So that's the registered nurse, okay? We're helping with constipation. We're also helping, how do you clean? Urine can come through with wearing pads or wearing diapers. I call them briefs or pull-ups. And then we can put in catheters that collect it in a bag. We can also have bowel programs to help someone go to the bathroom to get those toxins out of their body. And we can teach that. The certified nursing assistant, or CNA, also does that. It is very basic healthcare, but if each and every one of you think about it, being clean is very strong to us. We want to make sure that that happens for each person we're with. The idea that breathing, people having trouble breathing, oxygen. We provide oxygen. You sometimes have these machines now that just take air and it figures out the oxygen, spits the oxygen to you and spits the rest of the air out, and voila, you're breathing. These machines are called oxygen concentrators, and they purr by pulling the air in and then. And for some people, that is very obnoxious. I had one family, their bedroom was over at the end of that. They could feel the vibration in the floor. Things like that, again, tell us. We can put something in, we can put it somewhere different. Just don't put it in a closet because it'll create a fire. It ain't worth it. All right. Now, where do all this, I'm sorry, and forgot about skincare. The idea of already, oh my gosh. We got skin and wound care. That's also other things that we deal with. The chaplains bring in, hopefully, any type of reflection of your religion or your spirituality. But I will say, some are very strong one way or another. Again, if there's discomfort or it doesn't bring you comfort, please state what you want. If you feel too embarrassed to do it, write it out. Giving someone a note they can read is also helpful in directing them. Then we also have the social worker can help with finding agencies to help you, food, drink, clothing, housing, those type of things that might be helpful. Also processing, how are you going to die, when are you going to die, that type of stuff. All I can say is counselor, like a counselor. I find social workers very good. There's a few things really quick. Medical assistance in dying. That is legal here in Colorado. You can be on hospice. You don't have to be on hospice to do medical assistance in dying. However, I highly recommend it. Medical assistance in dying qualifies only for people who have 6 months, or are we sure that they may die within the year. That type of thing. So medical assistance in dying is always an option, and we'll be having a class later this year that will talk about that. When you are dead, there's different ways that you can be taken care of. Well, first of all, hospice is a beautiful way that we don't have to have any police investigation. We don't have to have any sirens. We don't have to have any coroners coming there. When you die on hospice, the nurse comes, the nurse calls the doctor, the nurse calls the coroner, the nurse calls the mortuary. Things are taken care of. You meet with the mortuary the next day by phone or in person. Different ways of burial. I'll make this as quick as I can. In ground, right? We've got mausoleum. We've got double death, where you can be buried on top of each other. We've got flame cremation. Aquamation. Have you guys heard that one yet? That's water and alkaline. It saves 90% energy. Composting. Green burial, biodegradable, cover in box. And then these other ones we don't hear of very much, but they just triggered me. Sea burial, it would be a little drive here. A tree pod, where you're buried under a tree. Coral reef, where your ashes can be mixed with cement, and not here again, but out there. A mushroom burial suit, supposed to be some sort of fungal reactions. Freeze drying process, or you turn into organic powder. Synthetic diamonds or stones, where they use high pressure to make your body that way. And so every step, 20 minutes, is what I got to give myself this information. I wanted to make sure, if you want to take one of these, or if you feel there's someone that needs it, what this talks about is the final days, final weeks. I can tell you 60% of the time that someone will be gone within 2 weeks. And these are things I see. And it has to do with breathing, changes in urine, what they're seeing. And we were just talking about that idea that people see visions. And you may see them with them, and you may just think they're crazier than anything. But just know they're there. The main thing about hospice to me is what Dame Sanders said. You matter because you are. You matter until the end of your life. We will do all we can, not only to help you die peacefully, but also to help you live until you die. Thank you.